Imagine waking up one day and feeling nothing. No joy when you sip your morning coffee. No frustration when you hit traffic. No warmth when you see someone you love. Just blank, mechanical existence. What if this wasn't a bad day, but the new normal? Welcome to What If Horizons, where we explore the impossible to understand the familiar. Today's terrifying question: what if humans had no emotions? At first glance, it sounds almost peaceful. No more heartbreak, no jealousy, no existential dread at 3 a.m. But dig deeper, and you'll realize emotions aren't just drama, they're the operating system of humanity. Without them, we'd be glorified toasters with student loans. Take art, for example. A world without emotion means no sad songs to cry to in the shower, no paintings that make you stare awkwardly long at a museum. Shakespeare's plays become instruction manuals. Romeo mechanically approaches Juliet. Their families have a 67% compatibility rating. They proceed. Romance flatlines into a spreadsheet. Or consider social media. No outrage, no humble bragging, just users factually reporting their activities. Consumed 12 grapes at 3:15 p.m. The grapes were satisfactory. Influencers lose their jobs overnight. Who needs charisma when you can't feel the rush of validation from fake internet points? Even basic interactions crumble. Compliments, pointless. Your haircut is within acceptable parameters. Small talk, extinct. The weather exists. Goodbye. And forget arguments. Disagreements would be settled with cold, hard logic, which explains why this hypothetical society collapses within hours. Nobody feels like doing taxes, but now there's no guilt to force them. And here's the kicker: without emotions, we might not even want to survive. Curiosity, a feeling. Ambition, also a feeling. The entire human race could collectively shrug and quit like a teenager asked to do dishes. But hey, at least there'd be no fear of public speaking. Silver linings. This is just the tip of the emotional iceberg, or rather, the emotional nothingberg. Stick around as we dissect how love, law, and even lunch break when feelings vanish. Welcome to the unfeeling revolution. Buckle up, or don't. You wouldn't care either way. Now let's talk about the workplace. Imagine your boss delivering feedback with the enthusiasm of a GPS. Your performance metrics are 12% below optimal. Please recalibrate. No awkward pep talks. No fake smiles in meetings, just pure, unfiltered efficiency. Sounds refreshing? Think again. Without workplace rage, there'd be no office gossip. No venting to coworkers about Karen from accounting. Karen would just be a neutral entity who may or may not be a robot. And motivation? Gone. Promotions wouldn't spark pride. They'd just mean more tasks to complete with robotic precision. The economy would face an identity crisis. Advertising collapses first. No emotions means no impulse buys, no FOMO, no treat yourself mentality. Jingle writers starve. Black Friday becomes Friday. People only buy what they need, which is bad news for anyone selling scented candles or ironic t-shirts. Even crime would change. No crimes of passion, just crimes of mild inconvenience. I stole your sandwich because it was 11% more efficient than making my own. Police interrogations devolve into dull exchanges. Why'd you rob the bank? Monetary gain. Fair. Education suffers too. Teachers can't inspire students because inspiration is an emotion. History class is just dates and dead people. Literature is vocabulary lists. And school lunches. Still terrible, but now no one complains. The dating scene becomes a dystopian job fair. Your genetic material is compatible with mine. Procreation advisable. First dates are just mutual interviews. Do you snore? What is your cholesterol level? No butterflies, no nervous laughter, just two people assessing each other like malfunctioning appliances. And holidays. Forget it. Christmas is just a day with 14% more tree-related accidents. Birthdays are calendar notifications. You have survived another orbit around the sun. Congratulations. But here's the twist. Without emotions, we might finally achieve world peace. No hatred, no greed, just humans coexisting like polite roommates who never speak. The ultimate utopia, or the most boring apocalypse ever. Stay tuned. The emotional void gets weirder. Let's examine the legal system in this unfeeling world. Courtrooms would become the most efficient yet horrifying places on earth. Judges wouldn't need those fancy robes. they might as well wear lab coats while coldly calculating sentences like math equations. The defendant caused 3.2 units of societal harm. Sentence: 47 months of corrective confinement. No dramatic objections, no tearful appeals, just the mechanical administration of justice. Law enforcement would undergo a radical transformation. Police officers would respond to crimes with all the enthusiasm of someone reading a microwave manual. A robbery is in progress at 245 Main Street. Probability of intervention: 67%. Deploying units. No heroics, no gut instincts, just risk assessment algorithms determining whether stopping the crime is statistically worthwhile. The prison system would become even more chilling. Rehabilitation programs would disappear since no one cares about second chances. Inmates would simply serve their time like human storage units, waiting passively for their release date. Guards wouldn't be cruel. They wouldn't be anything at all. Just uniformed fixtures monitoring the containment of social irregularities. Civil lawsuits would lose all their entertainment value. No dramatic courtroom reveals, no outrage at injustice. People would sue each other with the emotional investment of returning a defective toaster. The plaintiff seeks compensation totaling $14,328 for damages incurred. The defendant offers $12,455. Counteroffer: the judge might as well flip a coin. Even the concept of justice itself would become meaningless. Without moral outrage, what's the difference between a serial killer and someone who parks badly? Both would just be entries in a database of rule violations. Punishment would exist not for justice or deterrence, but simply because the rules say it must occur. Legal education would become purely technical. Law schools would churn out human legal databases, attorneys who can recite statutes but couldn't argue their way out of a paper bag. The bar exam would just be one question: do you know the law? Check yes or no. Jury duty would be exactly the same actually. Turns out when you remove emotions, people still hate jury duty just as much. The difference is now they can't complain about it. They just show up, render verdicts with all the passion of someone choosing paper or plastic, and return to their joyless lives. The Constitution would need serious revisions. Freedom of speech. Why bother when no one cares what you say? Right to bear arms. Without anger or fear, weapons would just be awkward metal decorations. Even the pursuit of happiness would become a confusing relic, like finding an old manual for a VCR in your new smart home. International law would collapse completely. Treaties would last exactly as long as they were convenient. Wars would be fought not over ideology or territory, but because some computer calculated it was the most efficient solution. Diplomacy would consist of exchanging spreadsheets until someone's numbers look better. Yet somehow, traffic court would still be the worst part of the system. Some things are universal. Let's dive into the world of relationships without emotions. First, family dynamics would become unrecognizable. Parents wouldn't scold their children out of anger, nor praise them out of pride. Instead, they'd issue statements like, "Your academic performance has increased by 15%. This is acceptable." Birthday parties. Just mandatory gatherings where cake is distributed with all the enthusiasm of a flu shot clinic. Sibling rivalries disappear, replaced by a cold, calculated cohabitation. You have used the bathroom for 12 minutes longer than my allocated time. This is inefficient. No fights over the TV remote, just silent channel surfing based on pre-programmed schedules. The concept of a favorite child becomes meaningless when parents can't feel favoritism. Friendships would be transactional at best. You provide a 23% increase in my social interaction quota. I will continue associating with you. No late-night heart-to-hearts, no inside jokes, just scheduled meetups where people exchange information like malfunctioning fax machines. Forget comfort during tough times. Your friend would just hand you a tissue and say, "Your tear production indicates distress." This tissue has a 95% absorption rate. Romantic relationships become, well, let's not call them relationships. More like mutually agreed upon cohabitation contracts. Your genetic makeup is compatible with mine. Let us procreate on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Date nights. Just scheduled intimacy sessions. We have kissed for the recommended 2.3 minutes. Shall we proceed to dinner? Marriage vows would be rewritten by lawyers. I promise to fulfill 78% of your domestic needs, provided you maintain your current employment status. Wedding receptions would be replaced by contractual signings. Instead of throwing rice, guests would throw printed copies of the prenuptial agreement. Breakups would be bizarrely efficient. Our relationship has reached its optimal duration. I will now remove my belongings and cease contact. No messy emotions, no drunken texts at 2 a.m., just a clean, emotionless severance of connection. Your ex would move on with the same emotional investment as changing internet providers. Even pets would be affected. No one would adopt a dog because it's cute. They'd choose based on practical factors like, this canine has a 92% success rate in deterring intruders. Cat videos would lose their appeal when no one can feel the warm fuzzies of watching a kitten play with a ball of yarn. The entire pet food industry would collapse when people realize they can just feed their animals the same nutrient paste they eat themselves. Online dating apps would become, actually, they might improve. No more ghosting. Just honest statements like, your profile indicates a 12% compatibility rate. I will not be pursuing further interaction. Profile pictures would be replaced by pie charts of desirable traits. I am 45% punctual, 30% hygienic, and 25% financially stable. And let's not forget about the wedding industry. No more overpriced venues and extravagant dresses, just quick ceremonies in government offices. The most expensive part of the wedding would be the notary fee. Wedding photographers would go out of business. Who needs photos when you can't feel nostalgia? Yet somehow, mother-in-law jokes would still exist. Some things are truly eternal. Let's explore the world of entertainment in this emotionless society. Movies would be unrecognizable. Gone are the tear-jerking dramas and heart-pounding thrillers. Instead, films would be reduced to instructional videos with slightly better lighting. Imagine a rom-com where the couple calmly discusses their compatibility index over a spreadsheet. Action scenes would be replaced by characters efficiently solving problems without unnecessary explosions. And horror movies, just documentaries about poor decision-making. Music would lose its soul, literally. No more heartbreak ballads or feel-good anthems. Songs would be reduced to technical manuals set to rhythm. Step 1. Insert tab A into slot B. Step 2. Rotate clockwise. Concerts would be silent gatherings where people analyze sound frequencies. Mosh pits, just orderly cues for the exit. The art world would collapse entirely. Paintings would be replaced by color swatches labeled with hex codes. Sculptures would be functional objects with no pretense of beauty. Museums would become storage facilities for old furniture. The Mona Lisa's smile would be analyzed as a 47% upturn of the lips, nothing more. Literature would be a barren wasteland. Novels would read like instruction manuals. The protagonist walked to the store. They purchased milk. The end. Poetry would be extinct. Who needs metaphors when you can just state facts? Shakespeare's works would be reduced to historical documents about outdated social norms. Video games would become painfully literal. No more epic quests or emotional storylines, just tasks to complete. Collect 10 mushrooms. Walk to the next checkpoint. Repeat. Multiplayer games would be replaced by collaborative spreadsheets. The most exciting part of gaming would be calculating your efficiency score. Theater would be unrecognizable. Actors would recite lines with the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. Audience reactions would be limited to polite nodding. Standing ovations, just people stretching after sitting too long. Broadway would be reduced to a single play titled, The Most Efficient Way to Perform Tasks. Sports would lose their competitive edge. Athletes would play with the passion of someone doing laundry. No cheering crowds, no trash talk, just silent observation of physical activities. The Olympics would be renamed the Efficiency Games, where participants are judged on their ability to complete tasks with minimal energy expenditure. Even comedy would disappear. Jokes rely on surprise and absurdity, both of which require emotional responses. Comedians would just state facts. The chicken crossed the road. This was statistically likely. Laughter would be replaced by polite acknowledgement. Your statement was 12% unexpected. Well done. Streaming platforms would become obsolete. Who needs binge watching when you can't feel the thrill of cliffhangers? Recommendations would be based on data, not enjoyment. You watched 47 minutes of this show. Here are 12 similar shows you will also watch for 47 minutes. Yet somehow, reality TV would still exist. Some things are truly indestructible. Now let's examine education in this emotionless world. Schools would become factories of information transfer, devoid of inspiration or curiosity. Teachers would deliver lessons with the enthusiasm of a GPS voice. Turn to page 47. Begin reading. Stop reading. Students would absorb facts like sponges, but without any passion or interest. The phrase, "Why do we need to learn this?" would be met with, "Because it is on the curriculum," and that would be the end of the discussion. Homework would lose its power to frustrate. Students would complete assignments with mechanical precision, neither dreading nor enjoying the process. Math problems solved. 2020. Efficiency. 95%. Next task. Parent-teacher conferences would be brief and factual. Your child has a 78% attendance rate and a 65% test score average. Adjustments recommended. Field trips would be pointless. Why visit a museum when you can't feel wonder or curiosity? Students would walk through exhibits like robots scanning barcodes. Artifact identified. Dinosaur bone. Age. 65 million years. Moving to next exhibit. The only excitement would be calculating the most efficient route through the building. Extracurricular activities would disappear. No one joins a band without passion, or a sports team without competitive spirit. School plays would be replaced by recitations of the school handbook. Yearbooks would be spreadsheets listing names and academic achievements. Bullying would take on a bizarre new form. Without emotions, bullies wouldn't derive pleasure from tormenting others. Instead, they'd simply point out inefficiencies. Your lunch consumption rate is 23% slower than the average. Improve. Victims wouldn't feel hurt. They'd just adjust their behavior to meet the suggested standard. College applications would be brutally straightforward. Your GPA is 3.2. Your SAT score is 1200. You are 45% likely to succeed at this institution. Application submitted. Personal essays. Just lists of achievements. I have completed 12 years of education. I am proficient in math. Accept me. Higher education would become a purely transactional experience. Students would attend classes, complete assignments, and graduate without any sense of accomplishment or pride. Professors would lecture to empty-eyed students who absorb information without questioning or engaging. The phrase, "This will be on the test," would be the only motivation anyone needs. Research would lose its spark. Scientists would conduct experiments without curiosity or wonder. Breakthroughs would be stumbled upon accidentally while trying to complete assigned tasks. Nobel Prizes would be awarded based on efficiency metrics rather than impact. Even graduation ceremonies would lose their meaning. No tears of joy, no proud smiles, just a mechanical procession of students collecting diplomas. The valedictorian speech would be a statistical analysis of the graduating class. Our average GPA was 3.4. Our job placement rate is 67%. Goodbye. Yet somehow, the cafeteria food would still be terrible. Some things truly transcend emotion. Now we arrive at professional life, where the absence of emotions doesn't just change the game, it burns the rulebook and replaces it with an Excel spreadsheet. Office culture becomes about as lively as a library air vent. Water cooler gossip gets replaced with actual discussion of water temperatures. The cooler is currently maintaining 4.3 degrees Celsius. Optimal hydration conditions achieved. Job interviews transform into eerily precise exchanges. Your skills match 73% of our requirements. Understood. My salary expectations are between $47,382 and $49,156 annually based on market averages. Agreed. Your workstation will be cubicle 42B. Report Monday. The concept of career passion dies screaming in a corner. No one loves or hates their job. They simply occupy a chair for predetermined hours while completing assigned tasks. Middle managers lose their only purpose, making people feel bad, and wander the halls like ghosts, occasionally mumbling about quarterly reports no one reads. Workplace accidents decline dramatically, not because of better safety standards, but because no one cuts corners to get this over with. Conversely, productivity only improves by 2% because without the panic of deadlines or the rush of accomplishment, humans work at one steady, glacially average pace. Corporate jargon somehow survives, now meaning exactly what it says. "We need to circle back," becomes a literal walking pattern. "Let's take this offline," means turning off your computer. "Give me a hard stop," is a request for physical barriers. Customer service evolves into something almost beautiful in its brutal honesty. I'm sorry you're experiencing this issue, becomes, this issue exists. Your call is important to us, transforms to, you are call number 142 in queue. That's certainly an interesting perspective, finally gets honest as, you're wrong. The entire concept of, work friends, disappears. Happy hour becomes, scheduled liquid consumption time. Office holiday parties get replaced with, annual mandatory gathering with optional cake slice, 72% attendance required. Retirement loses all sentimental value. People don't retire. They simply reach a predetermined accumulation point and stop going to their workplace one day. No gold watches, no tearful goodbyes, just one less name in the system. The retirement party consists of HR processing a form while eating exactly 1.8 cookies. Strangely, TPS reports somehow become even more meaningless. In a world without office politics, they serve literally no purpose, yet continue being produced with mind-numbing regularity. Perhaps some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Let's examine government and civic life in this emotionally barren landscape. Elections would become the world's most boring math competitions. Campaign speeches are replaced with spreadsheet presentations. My policies represent a 12% increase in infrastructure efficiency over my opponent. Constituents vote based on statistical projections rather than hopes or fears. Political ads lack any trace of emotion, featuring nothing but pie charts and bar graphs scrolling silently across the screen. The halls of power become eerily quiet. No heated debates, no dramatic protests, just civil servants mechanically implementing policies. Without ambition or power lust, politicians simply do their jobs with robotic efficiency. Cabinet meetings resemble corporate inventory checks, education budget allocated, defense spending within parameters. Next agenda item, lawmaking transforms into pure data analysis. Without emotional biases, legislation gets evaluated solely on practical metrics. Bill 742 will affect 23% of citizens with 87% projected efficacy. Lobbyists go extinct. Why wine and dine officials who can't be swayed by flattery or pressure? Political scandals disappear, not because people are more ethical, but because no one cares enough to hide their actions or expose others. International relations achieve perfect transparency. Diplomats communicate with cold precision. Your actions negatively impact our interests by 15%. Adjust or face proportionate response. Trade negotiations proceed like a supermarket self-checkout. You want our wheat, we want your steel. Optimal exchange rate calculated. Wars become vanishingly rare without national pride or ideological fervor, though territorial disputes occasionally get settled via spreadsheet duels. Oddly, bureaucracy somehow becomes worse. Without emotions to create urgency, paperwork processes slow to geological timescales. Permit applications languish in drawers not out of malice, but sheer lack of motivation to process them. Government websites remain just as confusing, though now no one complains about them. The tax code remains equally arcane because without frustration driving reform, complexity keeps accumulating like layers of sedimentary rock. Local government meetings achieve maximum efficiency. Zoning board discussions sound like, proposed structure meets 94% of requirements. Motion passes. Community input sessions conclude in record time when no one feels strongly enough to speak. Planning committees approve sensible rectangular buildings exclusively, deeming them sufficiently functional. The justice system's evolution is particularly striking. Supreme Court rulings read like engineering specifications. Based on measurable criteria, this interpretation is 62% more legally sound. Citizens respect laws not from moral conviction, but because they represent the calculated social optimum. Crime drops precipitously not from improved policing, but because without greed, rage or desire, most offenses become logically unappealing. Remarkably, political parties still form, though they differ only slightly in their methodologies. Party conventions feature competing statisticians presenting policy algorithms. The concept of getting out the vote disappears when everyone votes with the same frequency they perform other civic duties, reluctantly and out of obligation. Yet despite all this logical perfection, government employees still take exactly 47 minutes for lunch breaks regardless of workload. Certain traditions persist beyond reason. Now we turn our attention to commerce and the marketplace, where the absence of emotions turns shopping into something resembling a clinical trial. Advertising agencies go bankrupt overnight. Without emotions to manipulate, ads become simple product descriptions. This shirt is made of 100% cotton. It costs $19.99. Jingle writers become obsolete, replaced by product specification readers. Supermarkets play ambient music at precisely 72 beats per minute, scientifically proven to neither attract nor repel customers. Retail therapy becomes retail, nothing. Malls transform into efficient distribution centers with occasional browsing. The phrase, impulse buy, disappears from the lexicon, along with window shopping. Black Friday loses its frenzy, becoming just another calendar date with slightly higher sales volume. The holiday shopping season becomes the holiday purchasing season, with all transactions completed by November 15th for maximum efficiency. Fashion becomes purely functional. Clothing stores organize inventory by fabric type and temperature rating rather than style or season. The concept of looking good gets replaced by adequate coverage achieved. Runway shows feature models walking briskly while reciting fabric content percentages. Designer labels disappear, replaced by barcodes and material composition lists. The restaurant industry undergoes a dramatic transformation. Menus list nutritional content and preparation time instead of tantalizing descriptions. This dish contains 47 grams of protein and takes 12 minutes to prepare. Order now. Food critics become nutrition analysts, rating meals solely on their macronutrient balance. Fine dining establishments close, replaced by nutrient-paced dispensers that provide exactly 500 calories per serving. Automobile sales lose all their emotional appeal. Car lots display vehicles with detailed fuel efficiency reports instead of flashy designs. Test drives are replaced by spreadsheets comparing maintenance costs. The phrase, "she's a beauty," gets replaced by, "it has a 92% reliability rating." Luxury cars become extinct. Who needs leather seats when you can't feel comfort? The housing market stabilizes into pure practicality. Homes are valued based on square footage and structural integrity rather than curb appeal or neighborhood charm. Open houses become property inspections, with potential buyers measuring room dimensions and calculating sunlight exposure. Interior design becomes interior functionality, with color schemes determined by optimal light reflection percentages. Even online shopping loses its addictive quality. Recommendation algorithms switch from "you might like" to "you statistically need." Shopping carts are abandoned at the same rate they're filled, as no one feels the urge to complete a purchase. Wish lists become potential future need lists, maintained with all the excitement of a to-do list. The entertainment industry's consumer products suffer greatly. Video game sales plummet when no one feels the thrill of virtual achievement. Movie merchandise disappears when no one develops attachments to characters. Bookstores carry only technical manuals and instruction guides, as no one seeks emotional resonance in literature. Oddly, the only thriving sector is the storage container industry. Without emotional attachments, people buy more organizational units to efficiently store their efficiently purchased goods. The phrase, "spark joy," gets replaced by "maximizes space utilization." Yet somehow, extended warranties still sell. Some marketing strategies transcend even the absence of human emotion. So here we stand at the end of our thought experiment, staring into the void of a perfectly logical world. We've removed anger, but also justice. Eliminated sadness, but also compassion. Banished fear, but also courage. The result isn't some utopian paradise, it's a world where everything functions perfectly and nothing matters at all. Turns out, emotions aren't just the messy byproducts of human existence. They're the very things that make existence human. Without them, we're just very sophisticated machines processing inputs and generating outputs. No art, no love, no stupid inside jokes that make milk come out your nose. Just existence. Efficient, flawless, and utterly meaningless. The real revelation, all those things we complain about, heartbreak, anxiety, irrational anger at slow Wi-Fi, they're not bugs in the human system. They're features. The price we pay for also getting to feel wonder, joy, and that particular satisfaction when you finally scratch that itch that's been bothering you all day. So the next time you're stuck in traffic fuming, or crying at a stupid commercial, or laughing way too hard at a terrible pun, take a second to appreciate the beautiful mess that is human emotion. It's what makes bad days bearable and good days extraordinary. It's why we bother getting out of bed in the morning even when we really don't want to. And if this journey through an emotionless world made you feel something, anything, maybe give us a like, drop a comment about what emotion you'd miss most, and subscribe to What If Horizons for more mind-bending explorations of the human condition. After all, in a universe of infinite possibilities, it's our feelings that make this particular one worth sticking around for. Thanks for listening. Now go call someone you love and tell them something completely irrational and emotional. Trust me, it'll be inefficient, impractical, and absolutely perfect.